Welcome to USA War Stories, the channel that honors our heroes, their courage, and the battles that shaped a nation. Glad to have you with us.
Behind the flag are the stories.
June 2nd, 1995. Captain ScottOGrady, a U.S. Air Force F-16 pilot, was flying a NATO mission over Bosnia. His task was to enforce a no-fly zone during the brutal conflict that gripped the region. From the cockpit, he saw rugged mountains below and patches of smoke rising from distant villages. It felt like any other patrol, until radar screens lit up with danger. Serbian surface-to-air missile systems had locked onto him. In moments, the routine flight turned into a fight for survival. As Captain O'Grady maneuvered his F-16, a sudden flash erupted from the hills below. A missile had launched. He pulled hard on the stick, trying to evade, but the SAM screamed through the sky at incredible speed. Within seconds, the missile struck. A fiery explosion ripped through the jet, tearing it apart midair. Smoke filled the cockpit as alarms blared. O'Grady knew he had only one chance to survive. He reached for the ejection handle, his training kicking in as instinct. The ejection seat blasted Captain O'Grady into the cold sky. For a brief moment, silence surrounded him, just the roar of wind and the sound of his parachute snapping open. Below, he could see his crippled jet crashing into the forested hills of Bosnia. O'Grady's heart pounded. He knew Serbian forces had seen the missile strike and would be racing to find him. Drifting toward the dense forest, he braced for impact. This was the beginning of a desperate fight for survival. Captain O'Grady slammed into the forest floor, tangled in his parachute. He quickly cut himself free and dragged the chute into hiding. He knew it could give away his position. The air was filled with distant gunfire and the hum of engines. Serbian patrols were already searching. Every movement had to be calculated. O'Grady crouched low among the trees, listening, heart racing, as enemy vehicles rumbled closer. Alone, with no backup, he was now deep behind enemy lines. As darkness fell, O'Grady pushed deeper into the forest. He had no tent, no blanket, only what he carried in his survival kit: a small radio, water filter, flares, and a pistol. The temperature dropped, and every sound echoed in the night: breaking twigs, rustling leaves, distant voices. He lay flat under thick branches, barely breathing, praying not to be discovered. Hunger gnawed at him, but fear kept him sharp. The war-torn hills of Bosnia had become his prison. By morning, Serbian forces were combing the area. Trucks rolled through dirt roads, and soldiers spread into the forest with radios and rifles. O'Grady could hear them shouting in the distance, sometimes frighteningly close. He moved carefully, crawling through mud and brush to stay hidden. Every step risked discovery. The hunter had become the hunted, and he knew capture could mean torture or death. His survival now depended on silence, patience, and his ability to vanish into the terrain. Days passed with little food. Captain O'Grady survived by eating wild plants, berries, and even insects. Using his survival kit's water filter, he drank from muddy puddles and streams. His body weakened, but his willpower grew stronger. He kept moving at night, resting by day, always staying concealed. Every rustle of leaves could be the enemy, every distant engine a threat. Yet through exhaustion and hunger, O'Grady clung to one thought: he had to stay alive long enough to be rescued. After days in hiding, O'Grady found a small clearing and risked turning on his survival radio. Static crackled at first, then faint voices emerged. NATO rescue teams were listening. Every second felt like an eternity as he transmitted his coordinates. He knew the enemy could intercept signals, so he spoke briefly and clearly. Relief washed over him, but danger remained. Serbian patrols were still nearby, and any mistake could cost him his life. The first step toward rescue had begun. Within hours, NATO rescue helicopters were on the way. O'Grady spotted their rotors slicing through the morning mist. The sound of engines filled the valley, both a promise of safety and a warning to stay low. He prepared his flares, ready to signal his location. Every second was critical. The enemy could still be close. As the first helicopter descended, O'Grady felt a surge of hope. After 6 days alone, salvation was finally within reach. As the helicopter hovered above the clearing, O'Grady fired his flare into the sky. Seconds later, a hail of small arms fire erupted from nearby enemy positions. The pilot skillfully maneuvered the aircraft, dodging bullets and tree branches. O'Grady sprinted toward the open landing zone, heart pounding, adrenaline surging. With a leap, he was pulled aboard just as the helicopter lifted off. Below, the forest stretched endlessly, a dangerous battlefield now behind him. Inside the helicopter, O'Grady sank to the floor, breathing heavily, adrenaline slowly ebbing. Around him, crew members checked their instruments and kept an eye on the terrain below. The sound of gunfire faded into the distance, replaced by the thrum of rotors. Relief mixed with exhaustion as he realized he had survived 6 days behind enemy lines. His hands shook, but a small smile broke through. He was alive, and rescue was finally underway. The helicopter lifted into higher altitude, leaving the danger zone behind. O'Grady peered out the window at the rugged Bosnian terrain below, still scarred by conflict. Relief washed over him, but he remained vigilant. Decades of training had taught him never to let his guard down entirely. Each mile brought him closer to safety and away from the forests that had tested his endurance. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to think of home. Upon landing at the NATO base, O'Grady was immediately escorted to medical personnel. Cuts, bruises, and exhaustion marked his body, but no life-threatening injuries were found. As medics checked his vitals and administered fluids, he finally allowed himself to relax. Questions from fellow officers and reporters came later. For now, survival was enough. After 6 days of evading capture and navigating enemy territory, Captain O'Grady had made it. After medical attention, O'Grady was reunited with his fellow pilots and command officers. Hushed congratulations and handshakes filled the room, but the debrief began immediately. He recounted every moment behind enemy lines, the missile strike, days in hiding, evading patrols, and finally signaling for rescue. His story would become a testament to survival, courage, and training, inspiring both his colleagues and the public. News of O'Grady's survival spread quickly. Reporters and cameras captured the story of the pilot who had evaded capture in hostile territory for 6 days. He received commendations and praise from the U.S. Air Force and NATO allies. The world watched in awe as a tale of courage, resilience, and quick thinking unfolded. For O'Grady, the recognition was humbling, a reminder of the teamwork and training that had kept him alive. Alone in his quarters that evening, O'Grady reflected on the ordeal. 6 days in hostile territory had tested his limits, physically, mentally, and emotionally. He thought of the forests, the constant danger, and the moments when hope seemed distant. Yet every decision, every training skill, and every ounce of perseverance had brought him through. In that quiet moment, he understood the true meaning of survival: resilience, patience, and unwavering focus. In the days following his rescue, O'Grady shared his experiences with fellow pilots and NATO personnel. He emphasized the importance of survival training, situational awareness, and mental resilience. Every detail mattered, from recognizing terrain to conserving energy and resources. His story became a case study in military schools, teaching future pilots that preparation and presence of mind could mean the difference between life and death. Finally cleared for travel, O'Grady returned to the United States. Family and friends greeted him with overwhelming relief and joy. After days of war-torn forests, enemy patrols, and life-or-death decisions, he was home. The moment was emotional. Hugs, tears, and quiet conversations filled the room. Though the ordeal was over, the experience had left an indelible mark, shaping his perspective on life, service, and survival. Captain O'Grady was honored publicly for his courage and resilience. Ceremonies at the Air Force Base highlighted his extraordinary survival story. Fellow service members, dignitaries, and journalists gathered to witness the recognition. Medals and commendations were awarded, and O'Grady's story became an inspiration for military personnel and civilians alike, a reminder of bravery, skill, and the human spirit's ability to endure against the odds. Years later, Captain O'Grady's story remained a symbol of courage and survival. His experiences were studied in military schools, recounted in interviews, and remembered by those inspired by his ordeal. Reflecting on the mission, he acknowledged the role of training, teamwork, and determination in his survival. His journey through danger, isolation, and eventual rescue became more than a personal triumph. It became a legacy of resilience, inspiring generations to come. Thank you for watching the incredible story of Captain Scott O'Grady's survival in Bosnia. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to USA, where stories for more true accounts of courage, survival, and military heroism. Hit the like button, turn on notifications, and join our community as we uncover untold stories from history and the battlefield. Your support helps us bring these amazing stories to life.